Foul is Fair, Chapter 8, Mazes of Words and Ice. Where did you come from? Megan asked, immediately feeling stupid.
Originally, evolved from baby's laughter, obviously. Just now, we've been leading a merry chase that wasn't very merry.
Right, thanks. So what happened to my father? They said you know more.
He went hunting,
Aisling started. There followed a long stretch of explanations of hunting in fairy, fantastic beasts that Megan had to admit might be possible in fairy, or might be Aisling exaggeration. Most likely, she figured, there was some combination of all of the above. She listened to the meandering as best she could manage until Aisling mentioned her father once again.
He does this a lot when he's in fairy. My cousin Nessa calls it his safari streak. There's a big dance that follows, the dance, and then a feast. The king likes to provide a new trophy every year as the centerpiece/entree for the feast. Well, except some years, like the years with your mom, or the year he did a tour of the castles of Scotland for nostalgia's sake, or the year he tried to invade Sweden.
Somewhere in the list of Riacard's adventures, Megan found herself staring at the torn sections of each of Aisling's wings, then trying to analyze what exact shade of pink was on their underside before the story cycled back around.
There was plenty of time, so he had me guide him out into the mountains. He knows them pretty well, but the Count and I fly all over the place and had scouted it out for him. I guess I missed something. We thought we'd found the cave where he could get his Alain Trachon.
Wait, Megan interrupted. He was hunting who?
Not who. What? Your dad doesn't hunt people. He doesn't have the palate for it. This was for a feast after all. And Alain Trachon is a giant three-headed, scaly red bird monster.
Oh, Megan paused. So you thought you'd found it?
Yes, we thought we'd found it. So we went in to explore. He had the Count and me cycle around to make sure there was no back way out. Then suddenly, a wind carries a message from him. Something about being ambushed and trapped, telling me to run and hide, then nothing. I go back later, really sneaky, to explore. When we first found it, it hadn't looked that deep. Now there was all sorts of passages, and even though the handover in power hadn't happened yet, it was all like an ice cave, mirrored surfaces everywhere, and all twisty like a maze. I didn't go in very deep, so I didn't get lost. Besides, I figured there was something worse in there, since Riacard normally wouldn't have any problems with ice and cold things. That's his favorite magic.
Megan followed the last bits. Okay, so we need to go to the caves and figure out how to find him, and figure out who ambushed him, if he's even alive. I mean, if he just stopped there.
No, that wasn't the last I heard of him. There I was, turning the Count out of the cave because I didn't know the depths and didn't have a special knack for ice and didn't see a thing except that one will-o-wisp.
A what? Megan had heard the term, but wasn't exactly sure how it applied here.
Sort of like fairies, since they were also spawned from the sparks of a fire of the first storyteller.
I thought you said fairies came from babies' laughter.
That's silly. Fairies were way around before there were babies.
So the first storyteller was never a baby.
See, now you're asking important questions. And that's a very good story, actually. Want to hear it?
Later, maybe. We're talking about my dad.
What's a will-o-wisp again? Okay, so will-o-wisps are sort of like really minor fairy things, or lights that like to hang around fairies because they eat emotions, and fairies are a constant buffet that won't wear down easy. Now and then, one or two wander through the portals and they get hungry. That's where you get stories of people seeing lights in the woods and getting scared and stuff. Poor will-o-wisps, they're just lost and hungry. I try to lead them back when I can.
Aisling wiped a non-existent tear from her cheek before getting back on topic.
Where was I?
The cave shouldn't have scared my dad, so something more awful must have been in there.
Right, so there I was, ready to go for help, when I hear just a whisper on the wind. It's a very distinctive whisper, you see. He tells me he was betrayed and trapped and don't trust anyone. I guess someone knew he wouldn't worry about the ice and would just get curious, and then they trapped him somewhere in the mountains. He assured me he was still alive, but fairy magic wouldn't free him, and I was supposed to go find you and bring you to fairy.
Megan took all that in, the comments on very distinctive whispers reminding her of that voice, the one she just knew belonged to the man in the photo. The trip was obviously dangerous, but if there was any chance of it being true, she resolved to try. You mentioned something about a dance? Not so much a dance as the dance, Lonnie said before Aisling could get going on a new tale. The pixie harumphed again, but let Lonnie continue. Riacard and Queen Orlaith meet and do an old, formal dance twice a year, Halloween and May Day. It rekeys all the pathways, helps keep the seasons in order, well, for part of the world anyway, and helps keep some really important things in order in Fairy, too. Okay, so now that brings up more questions. Pathways? Who benefits from this not happening? If a fairy lord's magic can't free him, what are we supposed to do? Lonnie continued talking over Aisling, with the pixie eventually ceasing to try and just sticking her tongue out at Lonnie instead. There's various paths and shortcuts, some obvious, some hidden between Earth and Fairy, and a lot of different Fae realms. Pixies are especially good at finding them, knowing which one leads where, and navigating them. The compliment seemed to mollify Aisling a bit, while Lonnie continued. When the dance happens, a lot of them close. Others just get more treacherous, but it's sort of a rest for the fairy realm, though it still lets some of the nasty things wander unchecked. So there's one question. Megan nodded, restraining herself from asking any more before Lonnie caught up. Okay, so next, Lonnie said. There's too many people who might benefit. Some of the Unseelie would do things just for the chaos. Some of them would also love to take Riacard's position, no matter the cost. There's plenty of intelligent and powerful creatures out there that would love to see the pathways stay open all the time, and all of the magic protecting them start to break down. We need more information. Megan sighed. This wasn't getting any easier or clearer, even with the explanations. Mostly, they just raised more questions. Finally, he wanted you in Fairy. Maybe he was just worried about sudden red cap incursions because you might not be a secret anymore, but maybe he thought you could help. Meanwhile, the Queen thinks someone of human blood can help. Great minds might have thought alike, so we're taking you to Fairy and starting at the towers. Speaking of which, tomorrow is going to be a really, really long day, and it's getting late. Aisling is going to lead us to the quickest path first thing tomorrow. Cash's girlfriend should come home around 3, so there'll be at least one interruption. We should try to get some sleep while we can. Seeing Fairy tomorrow will explain a lot of things better than I could now. Yeah, good luck with getting to sleep, Megan said, but tried to settle in on Cash's couch anyway while Lanny curled up in a love seat. Good night, Lanny. Megan's head was whirling while she tried to get comfortable. Amidst all the wondering about the fairy courts, the existence of magic, what exactly that meant for her mother's state of mind, and so many other things, she also realized she'd forgotten to ask anyone about her medication. Not the vitamin C that had replaced what only 1 out of 4 doctors had recommended, but the pills that 4 out of 4 doctors thought helped her function. Oh well, she had bigger problems now.